Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Let's look into the first question. With reference to Ram Prasad Bismil, which of the following statements are correct? He was associated with Arya Samaj from an early age. In the initial phase of his life, he believed independence can be achieved by means of non-violence. He had participated in Mainpuri conspiracy and Lahore conspiracy. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is one only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference given in this article. Now, when we go back to the statements, the first statement is correct. Why? Because Ram Prasad Bismil was associated with Arya Samaj from an early age. As he was part of Arya Samaj, he had this voracious habit of reading a lot of books as well as newspapers. He himself was a poet as well. He did write a lot of poems in the name of Bismil, Ram and Agyat, and as he was part of this Arya Samaj, he had read stories about killing that took place by the British officers with respect to people working in Arya Samaj, which is where he discovered and he emphasized that it is only revolution which could ultimately throw the British outside India and could win independence for India. So he did not believe in the concept of non-violence as the way to the Indian freedom. Apart from this, when you look into his idea of freedom struggle, he believed in revolution. He also had stark contrast with the viewpoints of Mahatma Gandhi ji. In fact, he had conflicting viewpoints even with the Congress party as well, which meant that he had to form an organization called as Hindustan Republic Association, which had leaders like Bhagat Singh and Chandrasekhar Azad. So it means that he was completely not accepting the idea of non-violence to win the independence for India. When you look into the third statement, it says he had participated in Mainpuri conspiracy and Lahore conspiracy. Yes, he had participated in Mainpuri conspiracy in the year 1918, but he was not part of Lahore conspiracy. Instead, he was part of Kakori conspiracy, which took place in the year 1925. Since he was not part of Lahore conspiracy, the answer to this is one only. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements with respect to National Green Tribunal. It is a specialized body equipped with necessary expertise solely for the purpose of adjudicating environmental cases in the country. It not only helps in speedy disposal of cases relating to environmental protection and conservation of forests, but also provides compensation for damages to persons and property for matters connected to environment. NGT will be bound by the procedure laid down under the Code of the Civil Procedure. Which of the above statements is or correct? The answer to this is 1 and 2 only. When you look into the first statement, yes, we have the NGT which was established in the year 2010 under the National Green Tribunals Act of 2010. Why was it established? So that it can dispose of the cases with respect to the environment as soon as possible. So it was adjudicating environmental related cases and its sole focus is only with respect to the environment. So the first statement is right. When you look into the second statement, does it provide compensation to the damages? Yes. It also imposes penalty as well, and at the same time it also provides compensation to the people and to the community in case of any harm caused by the environmental related projects. Finally, NJT will be bound by the procedure laid down under the Code of Civil Procedure. This is wrong. Why? Because it does not follow the Code of the Civil Procedure or the evidences under the Indian Evidence Act, but instead it is guided by the principles of natural justice. Since it is on the basis of natural justice, it does not comply by the procedure under the Code of Civil Procedure. Now, when you look into this particular legislation, that is the National Green Tribunal, it is deriving its powers from the very constitutional principle of Article 21. Why Article 21? Article 21 is something which speaks about right to life. Right to healthy environment is part of right to life. So this very aspect of NGT was established, which is drawing its inspiration from the Indian constitutional principle of Article 21. NGT is also supposed to dispose all its cases within a span of 6 months, and at the same time, in case people or organizations are not happy with this particular tribunal, they can still approach the Supreme Court of India, which has the appellate jurisdiction. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference in this article. Now let's look into the next practice question. Envision, recently seen in news, is a European Space Agency's mission to Venus, air quality and weather forecast system, high performance computing, artificial intelligence, supercomputer project, gene silencing technology. Which of these statements best describes about Envision? The answer to this is Envision is nothing but European Space Agency's mission to Venus. When you look into the aspect or the objective of the Envision, this is a European Space Agency's project. What will it do? This particular project will be launched in the year 2030. For what? This will understand what is the atmosphere on Venus, how is the surface of the Venus, so that we have a broader picture about the historical past of Venus, and also to understand what could be the future of Earth. Why? That is because it is usually said that Venus and Earth are similar in nature. In fact, when you look at Venus, it does not host any of the life forms right now. So if Venus has hosted life in the past, if Earth is hosting life in the present situation, is there going to be a change to Earth in the near future, where because of the change in the characteristics of the atmosphere of Earth, it will not be suitable for any living creatures to live on the Earth. So they draw a comparison if there was life before in Venus, and they will also draw a conclusion if Earth will have life in the near future. Before, how was Venus and how will Earth be in the near future is the major objective of this particular project. So how Earth and Venus evolved so differently? In fact, they have same size, similar composition. So what was the history of Venus? What will be the future of the Earth? Will there be any catastrophic event to the Earth? Is what is this project all about. So basically, it will understand the atmosphere of Venus and also understand the composition with respect to the surface of the Venus. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the mention in the Indian Express article. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following are sources of atmospheric aerosols? Automobiles, power plants, cigarettes, volcanic eruptions, desert storms. The answer to this is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the mention in the PIB article. So when it comes to aerosols, what are these aerosols? These are nothing but minute particles that are suspended in the atmosphere. They can be present as a natural phenomenon, or it can also be present as an anthropogenic or the human phenomenon as well. Bulk of the aerosols that is present in the atmosphere, nearly 90% of it is because of the natural process. Only about 10% of it is because of the human made causes. So the bulk of aerosols, about 90% by mass, have natural origins. This includes volcanoes. This includes all the sulfates that is emanating from the volcanoes, and it can also be because of desert storms and other issues as well. Now when it comes to anthropogenic induced aerosols, it includes automobiles. Yes, it includes power plants. In fact, it also includes cigarettes as well. So when it comes to the indoor activity, there are a number of indoor activities like cooking stoves, fireplaces, candles. All these are sources of aerosols. So kindly remember, volcanic eruptions, sea spray, desert storm, coal power plants, ship, everything falls under the source of aerosols. Now let's look into the next practice question. Regarding the Indus Valley civilization, consider the following statements. It was predominantly a secular civilization, and the religious element, though present, did not dominate the scene. During this period, cotton was used for manufacturing textiles in India. Which of the statements given above is or correct? The answer to this is both 1 and 2. This happens to be a previous year question from the year 2011. So during this particular period of Indus Indus Valley civilization, yes, the society in that particular period was secular in nature, and at the same time they did also use cotton during that particular period for manufacturing of textiles. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day for today's discussion is aspirational districts program. What is this aspirational districts? There are a number of districts in India. They have poor, abysmal, they're not doing good when it comes to the socio-economic conditions. So what does the government of India do? It wants to make sure that these districts are identified so that they become equal, they have parity with other districts in India on the socio-economic conditions. So identification of these backward districts so that their aspirations can be identified and they are in parity with other districts in India is what is called as aspirational districts. So basically in every state, the poor performing, the abysmally performing, those which has very bad human developmental indicators, such districts in a particular state will be identified. They will be given a boost so that they can come to balance with the other districts in India is what is this aspirational districts program. So this particular program aims to quickly and effectively transform the districts in India on the basis of three important conditions. What are these three important conditions? One is in reference to the convergence. What will happen under this program? Basically, all the programs and schemes both by the central government and by the state governments will converge together so that this is provided to the people in that particular district. Then there'll be collaboration as well. How collaboration? As of now, there might be agencies or departments or institutions which might be working on an individual basis. So collaboration that will take place between the central government, state governments as well as the district and the local bodies is the another objective of this particular program. Finally, what we will have is competition when it comes to this particular areas. How competition? What we will have is some of the aspects which will be declared as ranking. So districts will get enticed by it so that they have healthy competition among them. That is an aspect of this aspirational districts. So what are the three major points? Convergence, collaboration and competition are the three major objectives of this particular program. So this particular program has brought about a lot of reforms when it comes to the evolvement of a district, which is why the United Nations Developmental Program has identified it and has set the global community that this can be a global example or it can be set up as an example in multiple other developing countries. So the United Nations Developmental Program has looked into the developmental model of all these districts and it has said that previously all these districts were kind of neglected, but now they are seeing a new rejuvenation when it comes to its activities. Whether it was remote corners of the country or those regions which were hit by left-wing extremism, most of these districts identified under the aspirational districts program have evolved, have seen the development, have seen the growth, says United Nations Developmental Program. So it is asking multiple countries world over to align with this very principle of leaving no one behind, which happens to be one of the core principles of sustainable developmental goals. So UNDP analysis has focused on five important aspects: health and nutrition, education, agriculture and water resources, basic infrastructure and skill development, and financial inclusion were made part of this aspirational district program. And as a result, it is people who are seeing the fruits of this particular initiative. So what is the recommendation given by UNDP? As of now, every initiative has been taken under the aspirational developmental program. But what needs to be done is to improvise on the capacity building. So all the technical experts, the aspirational district fellows who are present in this particular districts will have to come together, collaborate with different developmental products, bring in the expertise of technicality, skills training, and should envision the broader picture of capacity building, says the United Nations Developmental Program. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this program. This is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.